Well, Razorback fans, I hate to do this. I really hate to do this. I hate to say it because I hate this so much, but I got to say it because I'm going to talk about it. This Mississippi State game is a must-win for the Razorbacks.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday, as plenty of things going on in the landscape of college football, especially Razorback football. We even have some basketball starting Friday night against Kansas in the exhibition game. Should be fun, but we'll have to talk about that as we get a little bit closer to it. But either way, Mondays are always an interesting thing because we get to hear from Sam Pittman. It's when he does his weekly press conference at noon each and every Monday. And it's really the only time we get to talk to him, or at least get to hear from him. He does his SEC teleconference in the middle of the week, and he also does his catfish hole thing, I think, still. So just not many opportunities to get to hear from the head coach during the week. So it's always really interesting on those Mondays to get the press conference and get to hear from a few things. And we'll play some of the clips and get into some of the topics of discussion that we need to get into. But, you know, you lost the game against LSU. We talked about it. We broke it down and everything. But now it's about turning the page. Truly. Like, you got to turn the page and you got to go and get ready for your next SEC opponent. And it just so happens to be the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Now, Mississippi State has not won a single game in SEC play. Okay? It's just the way it is. Nobody may want to hear that, but it's true. I'm not trying to downplay it or anything, and I'm not trying to say that, oh, you're in danger of losing this game, which you very well could be. But this is a game you should win. Just being completely and totally honest, it's a game you should win. But you can't look at it that way if you're the Razorback football team. You can't look at it as an easy win or that they have no, whatever. You got to be able to go in there and you got to be able to take care of business in Starkville. Plain and simple. This game is crucial. I was looking at the game notes for this matchup. And I know that numbers don't always tell the whole story, although they do speak for themselves. And Mississippi State in scoring offense ranks 14th in the SEC, and in scoring defense ranks 16th. Their defense is the worst in the SEC, one of the worst in the country in scoring. Okay? Total offense, they're 12th in the SEC. Total defense, 16th in the SEC. Rushing offense, 15th in the SEC. Rushing defense, 16th in the SEC. Passing offense, they're a little bit better at 9th in the SEC, but in rush defense or pass defense, they're 16th in the SEC. Folks, Mississippi State is the worst defense in the SEC. It's not close at all. One of the worst defenses in the country. In fact, in total defensive yards, they give up 449 yards a game. That is good for 122nd in the country. All right, I didn't just select random stats. I didn't just, go in and make it fudged a little bit to see that Arkansas, hey, they're the better team because of X, Y, Z. No, those are the big numbers, the ones that actually matter. Passing, rushing, offense, defense, scoring. Those are the numbers that matter. And Mississippi State is bottom of the barrel, not only in the conference, but in the country, in all of those major statistics. And there'll be some other ones too that we'll bring up. For instance, like time of possession, 15th in the SEC. Third down conversion percentage on defense. They're 16th in the SEC, dead last, 130th. That's dead last in the country, I'm pretty sure. They always add random teams in, I always forget about, but they give up almost 50% on third down conversions. They're 16th in pass efficiency defense, no surprise there. They're 16th dead last, and they are, we know there's 131 because they just ranked 131. They're 131st in sacks. They are 131st. They do not get to the quarterback. But sacks allowed, they're 14th in the SEC, 120th in the country. Tackles for loss, they're 16th in the SEC. Tackles for loss allowed, they're 14th in the SEC. First downs allowed, they're 16th in the SEC. Red zone defense, they're 15th in the SEC. I mean, just the numbers go on and on and on and on and on. This team is not good. This Mississippi State team is not good. And I could be crazy. Now, I know I'm talking crazy talk here, but that's probably why they're not very good this season at all, is because they don't have a lot of numbers to go along with it. They are getting better. I'll give them credit for that. But this is definitely a game that, statistically speaking, on paper, realistically, Arkansas should win. No problems. Should. So what does Sam Pittman think about this and the importance of the game? Well, let's hear from the man himself and what he thinks about Mississippi State.
I don't know how many SEC schools you're playing right now that aren't, you know what I mean? Just depending on if they're lower to the 25 or top to the 1. It's the league, and we're damn proud to be part of it. How important it is, I think they're all important. To go get another road win would be big for us. Get to another victory, get to 3-2 in the conference would be really big, and we certainly want that. We need that. We'll work towards that because, as you just said, you still have Ole Miss, Texas, Missouri, Louisiana Tech, and now 3 of those are at home. But this road game is big for us, and we usually play pretty good on the road.
Yeah, it's pretty big for you. And you do usually play pretty well on the road, away from Fayetteville, which we've always made some funny comments about it. I mean, Arkansas, and as weird as it is, scoring-wise, they score more on the road. I mean, they scored more against Oklahoma State. They scored 24 points, which I know is not a large amount, but they did it against Auburn. I guess they only scored 17 points against Texas A&M. But still, at this point, it's more than what they scored against LSU. Point is, though, is that, yes, it's a tough game because it's in the SEC, and it's a road game in the SEC. And Mississippi State is improving for sure. But you cannot lose this game. You cannot lose this game. And, we may go into what if you win, what if you lose, whatever it is. Maybe we won't. We'll just see how the week plays out. But I'm going to tell you this. If Arkansas loses this game, it's over. It's over. The season's over. I think Sam Pittman's time at Arkansas is over. It's done. I'm not saying he's going to be fired immediately after the game. Just saying that it looks like because if you're not going to be able to beat Mississippi State on the road, how are you going to come home the next week and beat an Ole Miss team? An Ole Miss team that actually is pretty good. How are you going to beat Texas? How are you going to beat Missouri? Mississippi State and Auburn are the 2 worst teams in the SEC. Your only 2 SEC losses in this one, in this season, has come against the 2 teams that have not lost a game in LSU and A&M. So you cannot drop one to Mississippi State, because if you do, it's over with. It's done for. That is the worst type of loss you could ever have. Mississippi State is worse than Auburn. They're worse than Tennessee, 2 teams that you beat. So this isn't about figuring things out. This isn't about, it's going to be a hard-fought battle. They may not match up well. No. This is you got to go in there and you got to win. And honestly, I don't really care how you do it. Sure, it'd like to be a blowout city and no problems at all, and you get home early and home for dinner. It's an 11 a.m. kick or whatever. 11 a.m., 11:45. This whole thing in the mornings have been throwing me off. But yeah, this should be light work for you. Should be. But as long as you win. If you win 7-3, if it's a reversal of what it was a year ago, fine. It's a win. Or if you win 50-48, fine. That's a win. But all that matters is that you win. I don't want this season. I don't want this era. I don't want this timing. I don't want any of this to come crashing down in the mid to late October months. I just don't want it to. And there'd be no recovering from it. I mean, think of it as you as a fan. If Arkansas lost this game, say if they lost 21-10, I mean, how could any of you feel good or optimistic or even excited about any of the games gone left on the schedule? That's why it's crucial. And I hate using the term must win because it gets thrown around a lot and it's really annoying and it's really frustrating and all that. I hate using it, but man, it's one of those deals to where you gotta just truly look at it as not too complicated, not too complex. This is a game you got to win. You have to win, plain and simple. And if you don't, we're moving on. Like the fact that we even have to talk about this kind of sucks. But at least if you won also against Mississippi State and you looked decent doing it, I'm not saying you would beat Ole Miss. I'm not even saying I would pick you to beat Ole Miss, but it'd certainly feel a lot better in your chances. Because if you go out there and you dominated them, like you're capable of doing, if you went out there and you took care of business and won handedly, who knows? Maybe people will get that confidence back and maybe you could go out there and beat Ole Miss, head into the bye week, get some things going. So there's just a lot of different places it could come around. A lot of different things that could end up happening. But there's no doubt that Arkansas has got themselves in a really good situation right now to win this game. It's just up to them whether or not they do it. We're going to talk about a specific player in Braylen Russell, freshman running back. Sam Pittman had a lot to say about him, but we'll talk about that and more coming up next. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans, especially you Locked On Razorbacks fans, it's time to recognize the Roy Player of the Week. So far this season, we've pulled over $20,000 to support your players on Roy. Micro deposits lead to massive change. With the Roy app, you can direct your support to the athletes you love, ensuring that all the funds go to specific players that you choose. Unlike collectives, you know exactly where your support is going, and you even receive exclusive content like personal videos and updates after the season. The best part, it's risk-free. If the athlete transfers or doesn't deliver on the content, you get your money back guaranteed. So this week, I'm supporting someone who deserves a little bit of love. Devin Bale. That's right, the punter. Devin Bale. I just pitched in $100, and I'd love for you to join me. Even $10 makes a difference. Let's show Devin Bale the love and keep him connected to our school right here on Locked On Razorbacks. Remember, pay today, celebrate tomorrow. Your support sets your team up for success. Plus, don't miss out on Roy's exciting giveaway. Win 2 tickets to a game in November. Just download Roy, create an account, and enter in referral code LOCKEDON, and you're entered. Already on Roy? Any contribution to an athlete's campaign also gets you entered automatically. No purchase necessary and void where prohibited. Download Roy now and join the NIL game with no subscriptions and no fees. And be sure to check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Roy_return_on-you for more info. Roy, support the players, change the game. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. This is something that I feel strongly about. Because for those of you who may have listened to me here on Locked On Razorbacks, or if you've watched any of my stuff on Inside Arkansas Live, I'm really about theory, and I'm about drawing conclusions and connecting things and hearing what a coach says or what a player says, and, just drawing lines to everything. Because, listen, we're not going to get the access to ever find out for ourselves. And then it's really tough because nobody was going to give up sources or nobody's going to have a breakdown of what's going on in a certain situation because they're afraid of having that access revoked, the little access that they may have. So that's why I like theorizing, hearing what coaches say, seeing what's actually happening, and connecting it all. Well, there was no doubt that I was one, just like many of you, that was disappointed to see the lack of touches by Razorback running back Braylen Russell, true freshman, because he was somebody that seemed like it earned it. He earned it getting through the Tennessee game and looking really strong there at the very end. He's someone that was a 4-star player coming out of high school, big, able-bodied kid, and seems to have a lot of upside, a lot of intangibles and everything. But only got a few carries there against LSU. So people were wondering why. Why would you, with JaQuinden Jackson being banged up, why would you not try to feature the guy that looked really good in some of these plays and in some of these matchups against Tennessee and other times, especially with the way he's improving? Well, it seems like Sam Pittman had the same question, and I think Sam Pittman has definitely got his answer, as he had some interesting things to say about Braylen Russell, the running back.
I trust all of them, but I think let's saddle up Braylen Russell. Let's go. I think he's ready to go. I've already met with him this morning, called him in and said, hey, man, you want it, go take it. And I think he's a really good player. I think he needs some confidence. We've got to get him rolling, to me, early in the game. But I believe wholeheartedly in him. R-Dub, Rodney is a guy that we need back because he brings that toughness, that tough running to us. And it's hurt us not to have him, to be honest with you. And then, unfortunately, we had to fumble with R-Dub. He's got to get over that. We believe in him, and obviously he came back in the game, but we're going to be down to those three. And then of course, Reed, and Reed's done well in practice too. But to me, give the ball to Braylen, let him go to work and see if he can't run it several times, to me, because he's a big man, hard to bring down, and a good player. So young doesn't mean you can't be good. And we're going to turn around and let the horse eat a little bit.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there because he goes through all the running backs for Arkansas and talks about the importance of getting Rodney Hill back and, talk about Rashad Dubinion, how he needs to forget about that crucial fumble he had against LSU, get over that because they need him back. Like, he's not being negative towards any running backs or downgrading them, but it's the Braylen Russell aspect of this that really caught my attention. Of him saying that, oh, man, we need to get him going. We need to get him going. We need to feed him the ball more. Said that he met with him in the morning and how important it was to meet with him and to keep his confidence going and let him know, hey, we're about to give you the rock. We're about to get you going. And it was just really telling to me because I'm like, well, you're the head coach. So, why wouldn't you do this before? I mean, it's not like, suddenly they saw something in the LSU game because he didn't play in the LSU game really much at all. But he's wanting to get him the ball more. He's wanting to feed him more. So why didn't it happen before? Well, to me, the telling comment was there towards the end where he said, just because you're young doesn't mean you can't play, or how, I forgot exactly verbatim what it was, but just because you're young brings that up. And I made this point on my show, but I was like, you know what? No one's ever said that. No one's ever said you can't play because you're too young. No one's ever said Braylen Russell does not need to play because he's too young. Not any fans, at least. I don't think any media people have said it. But Sam Pittman said it. So who said that to him? Was it a coach? Was it Petrino? Was it Smith, the running backs coach? I don't really know specifically, and maybe I'm just looking too much into this. It's possible. But there was no doubt that there was a very intentional, direct comment just being made and an emphasis on, hey, we're going to play this guy. Hey, we're going to get him the ball a ton. Hey, you're going to be featured this weekend against Mississippi State. You didn't say it about anybody else. It's you, Braylen Russell. Which just goes to show, and this really tells me at least, that Pittman wasn't like the fact that they're not able to run the ball effectively. He did not like the fact that we're not able to run the ball effectively against LSU. I also would just go ahead and gather that he didn't like the fact that they didn't try to run the ball more. So this week and this game against Mississippi State, guess what they're going to do? They're going to run the frickin' ball, and they're going to have Braylen Russell do it for them. And I'm in favor of that. It's the way it should be. I don't know if someone's at fault. Like, is it Petrino? Is it Smith? Is it Pittman? Is it Russell? Like, who's at fault of why he's not playing? I don't know. I do not know. I have theories, but I don't know. And honestly, I don't really care. What I do care about is getting the rock, getting the ball to your playmakers, to the people that have earned it. Not we can't see practices, so we can't see that. But on the field, in the game, Braylen Russell's earned playing time. He's earned carries. Now, could that change? Of course it could. It could change for any player. But this is about Braylen Russell being that guy for you that can help you out. If JaQuinden Jackson's banged up, we'll get talking about more of the injuries here in a second, but if he's banged up, then get the ball to the guy that has showcased his abilities. He doesn't look like a true freshman out there. He hasn't, given you any reason to not trust him, and he's a big, able-bodied back that can really help you out. So give the man the rock. That's all I'm saying. Give the man a rock. The rock. The ball. Have him carry it into, you know what I'm saying. It's fine. It's whatever. We'll talk about some of the injuries, though, and some of the updates with that coming up next year on Locked On Razorbacks podcast, so stay with us. All right, all you Razorback fans, you can start with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. It's that simple. So you got to check it out today at FanDuel.com. It's America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, talking about a little bit of the injury report, if you want to call it that, for the Razorbacks. And it's, I laugh because the injury report is such up and down all around. People get added, people get subtracted. I'm not talking about the official one, by the way, not in the SEC. I'm talking about the one that Sam Pittman gives updates to. And just to let everybody know, I won't play the full clips because there's a lot of random ones. But it looks like JaQuinden Jackson's not going to be able to go. Looks like he's not going to be able to go against Mississippi State, which is big. JaQuinden has been hurt. You can tell he's been hurt. And that's what I was really afraid of for him, where the way he plays is so physical and it's awesome. But when you look for contact and when you take on contact, you're going to get banged up a lot easier. And it seems like that's the case for him. Sam Pittman didn't really give a timeline as to how long he would be out. He called him very questionable, I think was his words. Very questionable for this weekend against Mississippi State. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. So you had that issue, and then you throw in Jaylen Braxton, which I think everybody's always looking at updates for that and what could be held from him. And he's not playing. And Sam Pittman said that they look to get him back by the Texas game. So after the bye week, which is crucial. And that's like I'd be sitting here making a mistake if I didn't mention the fact that Jaylen Braxton is your best defensive back, and not having him on the field the majority of the season has been hurtful. It's not the reason why you've lost games. It's not the reason why you lost LSU. But I don't know. I could be crazy, but I feel like having your best defensive back on the field a lot is a good thing. So that's going to be a weird deal to see what they do with him, because Sam Pittman even mentioned redshirting him. But, I mean, you're in such a conundrum because you need him to help win. But you don't want to risk, do you risk burning his red shirt, or do you risk making him get hurt more? Is this his career? Like, it's a tough thing. I don't envy anybody in that position. It's a tough thing. So wait and see how that goes. The other one is Patrick Kutas. This has been the weirdest thing. So Patrick Kutas, Sam Pittman said he's fully healthy, ready to go. Like, ready to roll right now. And they even made it sound like he's going to play a lot against Mississippi State. Could even start. I don't know how I feel about that. Unless he's just been practicing a lot, but just not playing over the past couple weeks, there's something to it. Or if he's just that good, which also could be something to it. I don't really know what to make of it. But, man, that's got to be a tough thing if he plays against Mississippi State. Just throw him in with his feet to the fire. But, all right, you've been out the entire season as well as a lot of fall camp. Here you go. Go on the road in the SEC and block some defensive linemen from Mississippi State. Well, I guess if you are going to have him go out there, it needs to be against a defense that's that bad, like Mississippi State. So maybe it is a good thing. But either way, I think that that's just so fascinating with him. And maybe we'll have a chance to hear from him at some point in time. But just wild, wild stuff for him. And it'd be good to have him back, though. You want all your players healthy as possible. But it looks like Braxton's for sure not going to go. JaQuinden Jackson's definitely questionable, or very questionable. Honestly, I'll be surprised if he ends up going. And you got Kutas back. So what does that mean? It should mean that you're in better shape. But in this day and age and in the SEC, who the crap knows? Who the crap knows? Appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Neighbors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. See you then.